Good day, and welcome to episode 54 of the Aaron Wayne podcast. I'm back on it. Man. As soon as I heard that music, I haven't done a podcast in at least a month. It's bright and early because it's the only time I can find time to do my time. But as soon as I heard that music, I was like, oh, wait. I like doing this, man. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about today, but I know that I'm going to talk about something because I'm here on the microphone and I'm talking about stuff. So the reason I haven't done a podcast in a while is because we bought a house. Yeah, dude. Bought a house on March 31st. What's today? June 23rd? March, April, May, June. Dude, I haven't done a podcast in 3 months because I know that I haven't done one since we bought the house. What a jerk. You know, I had somebody, one of my yogis came up to me yesterday about after yoga class, and she said, I wanted to talk to you about writing and podcasts, but she was going into a meditation class. And I was like, yeah, hit me back, and let's get together, we'll talk. And I realized, like, why did she even ask me that? Because I'm not even a podcaster. I'm not even a podcaster anymore. If you don't put out a, I'm sorry, I'm yelling at you. I think I got to relearn how to do this. If you don't put a podcast out for 3 months, guess what? You aren't. You're not a podcaster. You ain't a podcaster, Poppy. People should start calling me Poppy. You want to know why? Because my wife and I are having a baby. Ah. I need to get a sound effect board. I don't have one. That'd be nice. But yeah, dude, bought a house, having a baby at 33, when every other generation was doing that at 23, but whatever, no big deal. Student loan debt, it's a real bitch, you know what I mean? I'm gonna sip of coffee. Yes, sir. Speaking of generations, I had a 90-minute conversation with one of my good buddies yesterday when I was supposed to be doing renovations in our kitchen about presidents. He's also having a kid, named the kid after a president. Here's the hint. It was the first president. And, yeah, dude, so he was talking about how he and his wife went and checked out some stuff learned about George Washington. Or maybe they watched a documentary. I don't know what it was. But then we started talking about presidents. Yo, you know how the story of George Washington is that he had wooden teeth? Turns out that's true, but on those wooden teeth were slaves' teeth. They don't tell you that part in 3rd grade when you're learning about presidents. That homeboy didn't. Why did he lose all of his teeth? Anybody talk about that? Anyone want to bring that up? Also, another thing I learned from my friend is that, you know, George Washington, rich Virginia planter that he was, didn't make his wealth. He was a surveyor, as you may know, which made him a very beneficial asset to the Revolutionary Army. What do they call themselves? It wasn't the Revolutionary Army. I guess they called themselves Americans. Made him an asset to them because he understood landscape and how to move through nature really well because he was a surveyor. But he made his money by marrying Martha Washington, who was a widow, and her husband left her buku dollars in acreage, and that's how he made his money. It's kind of crazy to think about. He's very much like known as being a rich dude, but he didn't make his wealth, allegedly. You know, allegedly. It's kind of like a Nancy Pelosi kind of thing. Do you know Nancy Pelosi is worth like $100 million and she makes like $150,000 a year as a senator? How's that happening? I don't have any resources to supply for you. But Google it. I don't know. Actually, don't Google that because it's going to put you on a list. You'll end up on a list and then you won't be able to go to your kids' soccer games because they'll think you're a conspiracy theorist, but whatever. Oh my God, I said conspiracy theory in the first 5 minutes. What am I doing here? This is what happens when you don't have any notes. Stuff just falls out of your head. Excuse me. I drank my coffee too fast. Made me want to burp. Yo, I'm back on Clubhouse. That's a mistake. What am I going to say about Clubhouse? It is a chaotic space. But I was listening to a Lex Friedman podcast, and he was talking about listening to people and their experiences. I think it was with Douglas Murray, who's a controversial character. He's talking about how you can learn about people's different experiences and perceptions of culture on Clubhouse, because otherwise you're not exposed to all of these different communities. And so I was like, all right, let me give it another run. At the beginning of the pandy, I was like super on Clubhouse. I was like spending a couple hours a day just like listening and talking to random people. I remember talking to some Australians. I talked to some people in Korea. They barely spoke English, the Koreans, and they were so nice. They were like, maybe they were just interested because I was an American, and like I was interested because they were Korean, and so we were trying to communicate, but there wasn't a chance that I was gonna know any Korean, you know what I mean? But like the whole world speaks a little bit of English for the most part. So like that's the Clubhouse vibe, and I don't know, man. Like now I go into it and I'm like, okay, well, let's see like whose perspective, like, what's going on. It's chaos, man. It's absolute chaos. So I don't know. What are you gonna do with that? Yeah, dude, I'm having a kid and I bought a house. Having a kid is this strange thing from my perspective because I haven't been able to feel her kick yet. It's a little girl due in October 13th, and I haven't been able to feel her kick, so I'm like holding my wife's belly for like stretches of like 15 minutes. Holding my own belly for 15 minutes makes my shoulder hurt, So I think it might be a scam. I think she might be wearing like a Professor Clump suit, pretending she's pregnant, because I don't feel any movement in the belly. And I think all the doctors are in on it. Right now, I'm in the van. She's in physical therapy. Not because anything's wrong, but because she's like, it's what people do for pregnancy. She has a tailbone issue that she's... What am I doxing my wife right now? She's had some sacral pain. So we told her midwife, and she was like, oh, I'll just give you PT for that. And I was like, oh, why doesn't everybody not just say they have sacral pain so they can go talk to a professional movement therapist? So physical therapy is an interesting thing I'd like to do. But yeah, dude, I get hit with these like waves of like not thinking about having a kid, and then you're going to be a daddy. So I bring this up because I think that I'm going to rename this podcast to the Aaron Wayne Poppy Project. Even though I have no Latin influence in my life, I think Poppy, is that appropriation? Damn it. Just being a jerk. I don't mean to be a jerk. So we bought a house too. This is like the big news podcast, and it's only going to be like a 20-minute podcast because she gets out in 10 minutes. But bought a house. Your boy bought a bit of a fixer-upper. You want to know why? Because we're both public school teachers. Public school teachers get paid enough money to buy a fixer-upper. I'm going to have another sip of coffee. Get this dialed in. Delicious. It's that perfect temperature. I'm not a fan of hot coffee. Not a huge fan of cold coffee. Don't feel like I'm actually... You drink cold coffee too fast. That's the problem. Hot coffee... Welcome to the Aaron Wayne Poppy Project. Today's discussion, the distinctions between hot and cold coffee. Let's go to the viewers. So, yeah, bought the house, fixer-upper, and I've just been, summer vacation, I've still been pulling like 12-hour days. I wake up, haven't done the podcast because in order to do the podcast, I would have to do it before my wife wakes up, and I'm not fresh in the morning, first and foremost. Secondarily, I'm missing other work. Like it's like if you've ever done a home renovation and you're doing 99, actually I'm doing all of it by myself. The only thing that I had help with was the electrical from an electrician, my father-in-law, my wife's dad. But other than that, I've done everything myself. Katie's helped a bit, but she's pregnant, so she just can't be carrying boxes of tiles and grout into the kitchen. So it takes up so much time, and there's so many things to do that you can't really find a stopping point. And so when you have a seemingly infinite amount of things to do, you could work indefinitely. And I don't think that that's good for my brain. And that's what's prevented me from getting the podcast done. I haven't been able to do the podcast for that exact reason, which is okay. It's fine. I'll find time for it. But the only way that I can really find, and then, if I don't get my exercise in and, checking my emails and whatnot done at 6 a.m, then I try and cram it into the afternoon. But when your wife's looking at cabinet doors that haven't been hung yet, and you are like, all right, I'm gonna go for a run. It's just like, she doesn't say like, hey man, don't do that, hang my cabinets. She doesn't say it, though sometimes she does. But there's just like an energy around like, hey, don't do that. And it's hard to like find time for self-care. Self-care. Y'all know that Mac Miller song? You know what I'm talking about. Self-care. Shouts out to Mac Miller. The legend, the GOAT. I really like Mac Miller. What I like about Mac Miller is that it's not always rap music. Like, most of the time it's rap music, but sometimes it's just like, ooh, this is smooth. You know what I'm saying? Oh boy. 12 minutes in. I'm out of practice. Nobody panic. I got 2 new microphone stands. Didn't charge the battery for my good camera, so it's just like I have a knockoff GoPro called Akaso, so I'm looking at that for the video. But the interesting thing is, like, I posted these podcasts a long time ago. They're still like getting, like, I haven't posted a podcast in 3 months or recorded one either, but they're still, like, I check back at it every now and again when I feel guilty about not having done it. I'm like, oh, we got some more downloads, got some more followers, you know what I'm saying? And when I was more in practice in it, I was building everything a bit more effectively. This is just rambling thoughts. You can skip this podcast because your boy just needed one. I just need to prove to myself again that I can do this, and it actually takes no time. It's actually pretty easy, straightforward, enjoyable, useful, and the feedback I get from people is like, they enjoy listening to the podcast. I was talking to one of my yogis, and he was saying that he was talking about the podcast. He was saying, like, I like your podcast because it's you like open up all these threads, and half of them you weave back together. And he was basically saying I'm a crazy person and that my brain is scattered and all over the place, and that's cool. That's real cool. That's real cool. Dude, the thing about Clubhouse is you get on Clubhouse and everybody has a podcast, and then you're thinking, why would I listen to this person's podcast? Judge much, Rico? Chill out there, Poppy. But honestly, like, most people are so full of... Do I cuss on my podcast? I forgot. Let's go for it. Most people are kind of full of shit. And I think that one of the reasons that, like, my yoga class, people enjoy my yoga classes, is because I'm not like, I am a yoga teacher. And I think one of the reasons that my students, my English students, enjoy my classes is because I'm not like, hey, I'm the teacher. Sometimes I have to be like that. But for the most part, it's like more of a, like, let's do this. Like, here's my path to learning, or here's my path to yoga. Like, pick up or put down what you do or don't want. But most people are just they're full of shit, but then also they're trying to sell things all the time. And it's like, look, man, if people want to do your thing, like, they'll find, like, put links in your bio, I don't know. I just think as a culture, we're suffering from a lot of people who are cultivating their personalities, and I don't think that that's a useful thing, because, you listen to some of the teachers, and your personality is it's not something you it's not something you really created. So, you could listen to I'm reading a book on behaviorism, which is, so I understand, like I have a C plus understanding of the big five personality types, right? Which is similar to, but not the same as things like Enneagrams or, what is the thing? Oh, why can't I think? Myers-Briggs. It's similar to that, right? Where it's like, here's how you behave in the world, and here's some adjectives to describe your personality type. So that's a big five personality assessment, and there's a lot of research on it, a lot of study on it. Many of those characteristics are, fairly immutable. Like if you are an open person, you'll tend to be an open person for the rest of your life. And so I'm reading a book on behaviorism, which is like, no, everything can be trained. We can train everything. So I'm trying to read this dichotomy, like a dichotomous approach to what personality is. But fundamentally, you look at those two schools of thought, behaviorism, which is like B.F. Skinner and the rats and all these, like if you use the positive reward system and negative consequences, you can get people to do just about anything. And then big five is, no, people will just be who they are no matter what. But fundamentally, there's a layer above that, which is you look at a guy like Ram Dass or some of these like old school spiritual teachers, and they're like, your personality is a myth. It's all a trick. It's just a thing that you're acting out, playing out in the world. But fundamentally, there's a deeper part of yourself that if you can genuinely connect with, you don't have to live with the neuroses of trying to pretend that you are something so that you can be accepted by others. And so the internet, I think, has exacerbated all three of those problems. I think that in the big five modality, you have people who are like conscientious. Statistically, if you read like Jonathan Haidt's book, The Righteous Mind, he uses some big five assessment in order to articulate how people's political leanings are ingrained in them. If you're open, big five personality type, you're more likely to be a liberal person with your politics because you're more open to new experiences. If you're conscientious, synonym with like hardworking, industrious, thoughtful, a planner. A conscientious person is a planner in the big five modality. If you have a lot of conscientiousness in your big five personality assessment, then you're more likely to be conservative, which makes sense, right? Then so I think that the internet has like solidified people into those spaces, right? And like the concrete has molted. And then you have the behaviorism where through social media we scroll positive, negative rewards, and it has changed our behavior to manifest some of the lesser parts of ourselves. And then with the sort of Ram Dassian approach where we don't realize that our personality is a myth, we're creating our personalities and broadcasting it to the internet. And so no matter what school of thought you approach it at, 1940s behaviorism or 1960s or 70s, I don't know, you can fact check me, big five personality, or if it's 600 BC Zen Buddhism where the self is an illusion, it doesn't matter because it's like all of the worst parts of those assessments and layers of understanding how people manifest in the world is exacerbated by the internet. And so you get on Clubhouse and you can hide behind typed words because you take more time to type something out, and you can hide behind a picture. But if podcasting has taught us anything about people, it's that if you listen to someone talk for an extended period of time, you can sniff them out. You can notice there's an intuitive knowledge that we have about the human, that when somebody is putting a face on, unless they're really, really good at it, and we don't know why we know. We don't know how we know that someone's full of shit, but we know. Ram Dass says that throughout our lives, we are given labels, roles, titles, achievements. Oh no, the music started. I was only supposed to do 20 minutes. The work of our life is to shed the stuff that society has given us, that our genotype has given us, that our phenotype has given us, and that the culture has given us.
Hey Aaron, can I have your phone?
Yeah.
Can you hand it to me? I need to see the appointments that we have for the baby.
Okay.
Coming.
Thank you. How will I?
You just scroll through it.
I don't. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You know, I could cut that out. But I think, 20 minutes was right on time. Should have just done 20. Should have done 19, frankly. Then I wouldn't have been interrupted by my wife. I'm not mad that my wife interrupted because I love her and she's a sweet lady. But she needed my calendar so that she could schedule her next PT appointment. I'm looking forward to hearing from her how that PT appointment went. Can I real quick do a little copy and throw? I think the last podcast I did the same exact thing. Where I could, there it is. Ooh, we're back in the music. Damn, it feels good. Feels good to be back podcasting, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. All my stuff is in the stuff, right? AaronWayneYoga.com, Aaron Wayne Yoga on Instagram. Hit me up, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Makes a huge difference on making this thing discoverable. And I'm going to make more of them. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.